Just making sure he's on.
HW cam ready?
Good, all right. Welcome, everybody, to our Monday, April 1st Select Board meeting. This time I'll call it to order at 7:07 PM. Welcome, everybody, online and in person. We have a handful of board and committee openings. One opening on the Community Preservation Committee, 2 openings on the Conservation Commission, 2 associate openings on the Council on Aging, 1 associate opening on the Finance and Advisory Committee. The Historic District Commission has a few openings, 2 openings for 3-year terms, 2 openings for 2-year terms. One of those 2-year terms must be a resident of the Historic District, and the other must be a resident realtor in town. 1 opening on the Human Rights Commission, 1 associate opening on the Planning Board, and 1 associate opening on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And at this time, we have 3 minutes for topics not already on the agenda tonight for public comment. If you're here, you can come to the podium. If you're at home on Zoom, you can raise your hand and we'll acknowledge you.
Hello, my name is Jean Morand, and I'm chair of the HEIC Hamilton Environmental Impact Committee. The committee met recently and came up with some ideas about the artificial turf. That's a big topic in town, and sent you letters. Is there anyone that didn't receive that?
No, and Jean, we've got a copy.
got
I think
copies?
everybody's got one at their
Thank you. Yeah, we've got them.
place.
So we wanted to address the areas that we felt that our committee was commissioned to look at. And that is basically, if we go back to the beginning, codify the town of Hamilton's commitment to reducing our overall environmental impact, support the work towards our net zero carbon energy goal. Also, reducing our consumptions of plastic. So with some review and consideration and looking at details, we have determined that if we do put in 5.5 acres of artificial turf, considering that what it takes to create the turf to begin with, and the fact that we are replacing grass, which would be absorbing CO2, that the resulting carbon footprint could be approximately 200 tons over a 10-year period. And someone did some calculations to see that we'd have to plant 2,013 trees to offset the carbon footprint of that artificial turf. So these numbers, they may seem a little high, but I think we have to realize that every time we replace natural materials with something artificial, that we are going backwards. And that's not where Hamilton wants to go. We want to be net zero carbon by 2040. So that's one of the issues. Another is the amount of plastic that's used in the construction of this. Not to mention that these little plastic things break off and will be spread around. But to create this plastic, we have numbers of 2.7 million plastic bags in equivalents. Now, why use that as in equivalents? Hamilton banned plastic bags, so we wanted to keep that in perspective. There's a reason we banned them, and replace them with natural materials or use your own. So again, the last one, of course, was talking about the shedding of the microplastics, which will go into the environment, possibly into streams and rivers, and all over town, basically. So these are things that we have to consider as we're looking at these artificial fields. And another issue is what we call heat islands. If anyone's ever stood on artificial turf on a hot day, you can feel that heat coming up through your shoes. And it creates, again, another environmental issue with the heat islands holding the heat in rather than the grass that's going to dissipate and allow the heat to go in and transpire, through normal, the life of grass, as you know, because it's also giving off oxygen as well, too. So we want to realize that you're creating something that's hot and that's dangerous, not to go to the health department, but an issue for students. But also it's it's just, again, it's going backwards. It's not getting the CO2 out there. It's not taken away. It's not putting out the O2. It's just creating another environmental issue. So those were the three issues that we looked at as a committee that we wanted to alert you to, and that we were also in favor of the articles that are going to be presented, especially the moratorium, which would give us more time to think about artificial turf. And the last thing, and we did not discuss this at the meeting, so I present this as a citizen. The UMass Lowell has a TURI, T-U-R-I, and you may already be familiar with this, Toxic Use Reduction Institute at UMass Lowell, and they have all kinds of materials and case studies, specifically looking at Marblehead, Springfield, Martha's Vineyard, where they have gone to organic grass with frequent aeration, mowing, soil testing, organic fertilizers, and soil amendments. And one thing jumped out at me, they need a lot of compost to keep these microbes happy down there with a longer root system and all these different methods to have a playable field. And I do think we have compost in Hamilton, so that might be a consideration. So can I give this to you, Carolyn?
Of course. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Bill Olson, 419 Highland Street. Just wanted to clarify that if you go to the polls in a couple weeks, you'll see my name on both the planning board and select board application. But if you're going to vote for me, I just want to clarify, please vote for me for select board, not for planning board. Thank you.
School committee, though?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. Just before we get on to our consent agenda, regular agenda, just kind of a public service announcement. In your water bills, you may have seen something that looks like this with a QR code on it about checking out your water line for lead and copper. If you haven't done this yet, I'm one of those people that procrastinated until about a week ago. But do this. This will help our water department out, take inventory of our pipes and stuff like that, and help you stay safer in Hamilton. So please, take a look at this, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can call the DPW or the water department, and they'll steer you in the right direction.
We're required by the state to check out all the lead service lines and make sure we get them out. So we need you to help us do that so that we can comply with the state requirement.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
On our consent agenda. Yeah, Tosh, you want to come up? Sorry, I didn't see you looking anxious there.
Hi, Tosh Blake, Sagamore Street. First, I'd like to make a comment about the recent elementary school building project presentation that was held at the high school last week. And I want to thank the town manager, Joe, for putting out the kind of a robocall, letting people know. I was unaware it was going to happen, and it wasn't on the town website, I believe. So I think in the future, if anything with the school, maybe you could coordinate with the superintendent and the other town manager.
Yeah, I'm trying to do
Yeah,
that more.
yeah, no, it's great because I appreciate what you did. That
The
was awesome.
robocall I sent out had the wrong time too, so I apologize for that.
Oh,
I said
okay. It
7,
worked for
was
me.
6:30.
It worked for me.
I did an effort to be helpful and
tried.
transparent, and I messed it up, so I apologize.
Well, it worked for me, and I'm glad you did it, so that was good. And just sort of related to that, because there's some issues that brought up at that meeting, but related to something I think Bill Wilson brought up at a February 22nd Select Board meeting for future business, is the issue of the MBTA zoning, and bring it, I guess, forward more to the public and have some discussion about it, because there's a timeline there coming up, I believe, in the fall for, I don't know if it's the Select Board or the Select Board in conjunction with other boards have to submit some kind of either decision on that or something. And I think some public input and maybe special meetings might be necessary for that. I'm not sure. But,
So thank you. Give me an opportunity for PSA. One of the articles on the warrant this year is a request for $125,000 in free cash so we can hire some consultants to help us actually put together the MBTA zoning for the town of Hamilton. That will be a very public process. That's why we're asking for outside consultants so that we can do good community outreach, get a lot of people to participate. So I'll write down your name, Tosh, that you want to be contacted for all future public meetings.
Definitely.
About the MBTA zoning, and we'll make sure we let you know.
all right. Thank you.
And I do think in a future select board meeting, we're going to have a deep dive and just bring out everything we know about it.
All right, great. Thanks. Yep.
John, before you get to, we don't have the, there wasn't like an updates for
So I
board
was going to do
updates.
that next.
Yeah, okay, after. But yeah, I just wanted to say, we wanted to recognize that Sean has been doing this for 9 years. This is his last meeting. So we wanted to thank him. So I wrote a little letter of appreciation to Sean. I was going to read it real quick here, because
All right.
I've got serving them for 6 years on the board.
Thank you, everybody.
So I want to take a moment tonight to recognize Sean Farrell, who we have also represented today on our high fashion apparel. He is a man who cares deeply in the community he lives, as evident every day as he gives and gives and gives. He has spent the last 9 years volunteering on the select board, not an easy task to navigate all the challenges and still be adored. We had some big successes that he worked hard to accomplish, the latest being saving Town Hall so we don't have to demolish. He has helped our schools, town properties, budgets, and taxes, and is the first to convince our citizens to put away their pitchforks and axes. We thank Sean for taking the time away from his boys and his wife, with the end result being a better Hamilton and for us a better life. Sean's a great teacher, while being patient, creative, and artistic, always bringing ideas and solutions that are impactful yet realistic. He is never afraid to be the first to raise his hand and do the work, as his presence is appreciated by all, from town manager to town clerk. We hope Sean stays involved in town, as we will always need his support, and we should always live by his mantra that life is not a spectator sport.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Sean.
Well said.
Awesome. Before we move on the consent agenda, let's talk any selectmen reports, if anybody has anything to share. If you want to talk about me some more, that's fine, too.
I could talk about you all
Oh, you could, I
day.
know.
A little bitter you didn't write that book, though.
It's coming.
It's
Now that I have all
Yeah.
this time.
We told Sean he couldn't retire until there was a book of everything he knew that we didn't. And not to make anybody anxious, but he did not write that book. So, we'll see.
I can do it in all my free time now.
I did want to ask I know we're still technically, well, we're not technically still in winter. We're now in spring.
It's official.
The painting of the downtown parking, is that slated for April-ish?
Yes. Oh, this springtime, yes.
Spring,
No,
yeah.
in the spring, yes.
Not to be that person.
I'm not going to say April, and then it's like May 1st, and you're mad at me.
Okay,
So
it's fine.
it's the spring,
I
it's
don't
coming.
get mad, so I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I was just wondering. Thanks.
Bill, anything for you? Reports?
The Master Steering Committee is, coming to closure of our recommendation. That will next step go to the Planning Board to get adopted. We should do that by the middle of this month. We have, I think, our last meeting mid-April, so we'll bring it back to this board once that's completed, but we'll hand it off to the Planning Board.
That's great news. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Bill, anything from you? Tom?
Nothing for me.
Joe?
It's in the town manager report, you'll all get it Friday.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all right. All right.
Actually, I will say one thing. So you all know that one of the first things that the town select board asked me to do when I got here was to start to find ways to solve our long-term water supply problem. A lot of that has involved looking at partnerships and regionalization. So I've been a part of the North Shore Water Resiliency Task Force for a number of years. We just succeeded in getting $232,000 grant to start to look at a connection between Hamilton and Wenham and the Salem Beverly Water Supply Board. So that grant money will design, permit, and start to pull together the ability for us to connect to Hamilton, to connect to the Salem Beverly Water Supply Board, at least in the short term for backup water supply and emergency situations, but hopefully in the long run, a more permanent connection so that we can stop drawing our own water and start buying it. So that we're working on it. It's just a long process.
Yep.
That's great.
All right, consent agenda. We have two items. First up is approve a banner for clean energy fair on the banner rack on Bay Road by the COA, and then approve minutes of March 4th, 2024 Select Board meeting.
I just have a quick revision to the minutes on
Yeah.
March 4th. So under Article 2-3, it references their regional school district budget, but it should also reference the general town appropriations budget.
Okay. You got that, Joe?
I don't. I'll get it from you,
Okay.
but it'll be in the minutes too, so.
So then I'll kind of modify, so we're looking at approving the edited minutes of March 4th, 2024 Select Board meeting. If anybody wants to make a motion for both of those.
I move that we approve the consent agenda contingent upon edits requested by Tom Myers to the March 4th minutes.
Perfect. Second. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you, everyone. Ayes have it. All right, on to our agenda. Up first, we have our illustrious police chief in the building, I think. He's going to remind us that it is the wonderful month of April and Autism Awareness Month.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for having me here today. Just as a reminder for everyone at home, everyone here, April is Autism Awareness Month, and at the Hamilton PD, we'll be kicking off Autism Awareness. All the officers will be wearing their Autism Awareness bands. It says Autism Make the Difference, or Be the Difference, excuse me.
Thank you.
Cute.
You get fined if you don't wear these.
Thanks, chief. Just fine, not arrested?
Fine, not arrested.
Okay.
And if you look at it, the blue bands kind of match the blue sky in the shirts that you're all wearing right now. Also, for the officers' uniforms, they will have insignias that have autism on it. So we wear our collar brass, we call it, our insignias, we'll be wearing that for the month. And cruiser seals. So we also have insignias or seals, that magnetic seals that Joe Achadenia, Sergeant Achadenia, designed that are going on the cruisers as well. And the big thing is, this will be our third annual fundraiser working with Five Sons, and they donate 20% of everything you order after 4 o'clock gets donated. And Hamilton Police, Wenham Police, Hamilton Fire, Wenham Fire will be delivering to the two towns again. We always do it on the Tuesday. We're gonna do it on Tuesday the 30th. You can bring it to me, Steve. Thanks, buddy. So this is what goes on the cruises that Joe designed. Joe Achadenia, if people don't know, he's very passionate about autism. His son has autism, and he steers this whole thing. So a big shout out goes to Joe for everything he does for this, because this is his baby, and he's hot to trot on it, and he stays very passionate about it. So on our flyers.
Sure thing.
On the flyers, it's going to have the dates. We'll have that on the website, and we'll make sure they're on the town website as well as we'll put them on the Hamilton PD website. So everything after 4 o'clock that you order will be, in fact, 20% will go towards special education. And it went to the special ed department. So I just want to follow up a little bit about what they did with the money this year, which was really great. On March 20th, they used the money to bring in Kerry Margot as a guest speaker to address the students and faculty at the high school. And they had the high school, middle school, and with all the faculty that came there. And I went there and sat in on the session itself. And Kerry holds a doctorate in educational technology leadership and is an award-winning national speaker as well as a best-selling author. And what makes it interesting is at 2.5 years old, he was nonverbal. At 4 years old, he was diagnosed with autism. And to listen to him speak, overcome the adversities that were faced in front of him was really something to listen to that. And what I like about that is they used the money that the communities, we were able to get from that 20% by selling the pizzas and so forth. The other reason, not the real reason, one of the special reasons I like to do on a Tuesday is because that's when Joe works late and he buys pizza for everyone at the town hall. And the last thing before I get out of your hair is, Sean, I personally like to thank you. 9 years working with you on projects and things for town. I really enjoyed working with you. With the rest of the board, 9 years is a long time we've been together. So thank you very much, Sean, for your time and your service to the town. It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate you as well.
All right, take care, folks. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, chief.
Mr. Bowler, it's good to see you again. People don't know, when I first started 16 years ago, in September will be 16 years, it was a 3-person board, and Bill was one of the ones that hired me. Bill, Dave Carey, and Jen Scuteri. It was a 3-person
Yeah.
board at the time. It's good to see you, Bill.
All on Mark Bills.
In a white envelope.
All right, thank you, chief. All right, up next, we have approve a request for the use of Patton Park for the annual block party, June 22nd, 2024, in a vote on that. And this is our annual block party.
I move that we approve the request for the annual block party at Patton Park on June 22nd.
Second?
Second, all those in favor, if there's no discussion, I doubt there is.
Aye.
Aye. Moving right along. Review town meeting script and vote to finalize with our town manager.
I will bring it up for us to look at.
I'll be there. You're not? I moved my, I'm not playing.
So you, in your package was a copy of the script as drafted by town council. A lot of it's filled in, we will go through things. Some things here will get filled in tonight, some things won't. I just want to make sure the select board has a chance to vote on who the movers will be. Let me fast forward down here a little bit.
While you're doing that, Joe, Mr. Bowler, since you're here tonight, I'm reading your opening comment / script, and you mentioned people bringing their copy of the warrant. You may mention it's a copy instead of their copy that we send them, because we don't send them a copy anymore. It's a minor change, but I don't know if you want to rejigger some of that, or... There'll be copies available. And maybe you can just mention there's copies available, which most people already know, but they don't have one to bring with them unless they printed it out. And with our cell phone service at the high school, they may not be able to look at it on their device.
So, Article 1-2 is an article for reports. I don't know if Mr. Bowl is going to entertain any reports, or if there are any committees that have asked to do reports at the meeting, so this is currently blank.
Mr. Buller, would you entertain a report for me?
Yes.
I'll be brief.
You want to make the motion?
Sure. So if you want to fill that in
Yeah,
for
yep,
me, when
yep.
you're ready, Joe.
Okay.
All right, and then 1-3 articles for consent motion. I'll make that one too, if you don't mind. I like an efficient meeting.
For me, is that okay with everybody else?
Wage and classification, I think,
There should be,
do we miss?
if any items are held.
I'll do
Right.
it if anything's held, I can do it.
You'll do the held. And I think
can-
Christina was gonna do the, I think, John, you put in Christina, I think?
Yep. She's gonna move it.
Okay,
Oh, Christina's gonna move it?
yeah.
Well, we offered to.
You've got, it's kind of pre-filled with FinCom's requests, and we can always
Yeah.
change whatever, but I'm fine with that if everybody else is.
So the one I have here doesn't have, and yours does, but mine doesn't. That's weird.
The one in the packet does.
Okay. Apologize for that.
Prior bills,
We don't have any right now,
we don't have any. So
so you just move to pass
do,
over it.
just move the pass.
Uh,
How
Mr.
how do we
Bowler,
do
do you
that
need to-
procedurally?
Yeah, Mr. Bowler, do you need somebody to make that motion, or?
I know.
I was gonna say, I don't think we've ever done that, but you make a motion to pass over it?
Yeah, so.
This says moderator, hearing no motion, I will move to
Take no
Article
action.
2-3. So
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, it says right there, yeah.
Yeah, it says right there.
Says it right in
So
it.
moderator reads, hearing no motion, I will move to Article 2-3.
Oh, yeah, I see it. All right. General Town Department Appropriations 2-3. Harry would do this one if nobody else wants to.
And I will fill in these numbers will get filled in,
Prior to the
version
meeting,
for the moderator, and myself, where else to read.
yeah. Okay. Everybody fine with Harry doing that one?
Yep.
Okay. 2-4 capital expenditures,
John
John
McGrath.
McGrath, fine with that?
And at that point, as part of that, I was going to display a slide,
The matrix kind of thing, yeah.
which is the matrix. So as part of the capital expenditures, it's what, 1.3 million? But I was also gonna show the full view of capital for the next 7 years for the schools in the town.
So to be the slide that we have created, the appendix, whatever, D, whatever it is, and then your slide as well?
Your future cast, right?
So that was the plan. So I'll submit that final slide to you and to the moderator, similar to what we did last year.
That's the one you've emailed me, right?
Yeah, we got it, you
So
got
we
it this
have it.
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, if you can be real clear that you're not asking people to vote on the whole $200 million worth of stuff that you're forecasting, we're just asking for the one.
So would it be more
0.3.
appropriate to
Do
do
you
it
want to do it in the
In the
beginning?
report?
at the beginning?
Let's
of
do it in the
report?
beginning, that way it's not confusing.
That would be helpful, yeah.
Let's do that, because people may get shell-shocked from that.
So, 2 reports,
Let's take
one
a
from
shot,
the
yeah.
select board chair and one from the FinCom chair. Ms. Ball, you're good, okay with that?
I like it.
Yeah, that's cleaner.
Thank you.
All right, so John will move that one. 2-5 water enterprise budget, that's on consent. Okay, and John, you'll talk to that one if it gets held. 2-6 annual financial actions. John Prulidge, read that unless anybody else.
That's
Well,
consent
yeah,
too.
it's in consent.
It's
and
in
we'll
consent
jump
if it
over
gets
to-
held.
If it gets held, yep.
2-7's also consent.
2-7, same thing if it's held.
John Poole.
John Prulidge can speak to that one.
2-8 is
OPEB
under consent.
is consent. John can speak to that one. 2-9 stabilization fund. Christina can read that one unless somebody else wants to.
Only if you tell me to.
Are you gonna be here?
I'll be there.
All right.
I'm watching this select board meeting.
2-10 capital stabilization fund. Christina again. She's having all the fun.
So much.
Town Center Comprehensive Plan. John Prulidge will read that in unless anybody wants to.
My thought is that should come from someone on the select board. That would be my point of view.
I was thinking the same thing when I read it over.
Do it,
I think John's fine doing it, but it's more of a,
And it's a big deal,
mhm.
because it has 3A, it has the Winthrop School site, and it's all sort of wrapped together.
Do you want to speak
Yeah,
to
I can-
that one then? Because you're kind of the planning board liaison fella.
And just so you know, the planning board chair is asked to read a statement in favor of it as well. So,
So Bill, if you want, you could move the motion and recognize Marnie.
Okay.
And then you could speak to it after she speaks to it if you
Is that
want to.
Marnie speaking?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is, do you also want to recognize someone from the HDC? Because the HDC is in supportive of this article, and just think that the more people we can,
Rick, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm planning on doing the presentation, starting off the presentation, do a 2-minute summary of why we're doing this, and then Amy will follow with a 2-minute summary, just a quick overview of what is.
oh, it'll be Emil, not Marnie? Because Marnie asked Patrick to prepare something for her to say, so.
Then she better talk to Emil, because
Okay.
last planning board
Okay.
meeting last Tuesday, she designated Emil, and Emil and I have been.
Okay.
Okay. Well, whoever it is, let the moderator know.
So Bill will read the motion and then recognize Rick
Let the
and
man in
Emil.
charge.
Okay.
Okay.
Bill and I have been in contact, so he knows
Okay.
what's going on,
Okay.
and there will be one slide with it.
Okay.
Excellent. Can you get that to
If
Lori?
you, Rick,
As-
if I can bother you
All
to
right. Okay, all right.
come up there if you got more to say. Okay. Sorry. All right, so we got that one figured out then?
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds like.
2-12 community preservation budget. This one's in the consent. Jay Butler will speak to it if it gets held. And then all these CPC ones are Jay Butler. So 2-13, 2-14, 2-15. Is there going to be any kind of presentation of fire truck stuff? Is Ray or anybody going to talk? Lori, do you know?
Jay thought they should just be ready.
Yeah, I would say read the room.
The question.
Yeah, perfect.
So we already talked to Jamie and to,
Okay, perfect. All right, 2-16, the opioid special revenue fund. John McGrath's going to speak to that one, or make the motion anyway. And that's on consent as well, if it's held, I should say. John will speak to it. 3-1, that's Mr. Knudsen. We'll move that one and answer any discussion on it. 3-2, acceptance of general law, chapter 32, subsection 4, parentheses 2B. And this is a consent item. If it's held, who's gonna, what's this one?
This is the one.
Oh, the reserve
retirement-
stuff.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that if it's, It's held.
Sure, I can do that. I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna say, but all right.
Yeah.
If it gets held, I will do it.
3-3, citizens petition. Bill Shields will move this one. Same with 3-4, and I'm assuming 3-5.
Yep.
There we go, scroll down a little bit more.
Yep.
And then we will adjourn at 9:30. Sunday morning. Just kidding, just April Fools. Oh, yeah. I'll be in my pajamas.
I'll be wearing this shirt.
Didn't want you to miss.
I'll be wearing this shirt again.
It's a swan song.
Yeah. Should I have some intro music and come in?
Now you'll
Basketball
exit
team.
to music.
Yeah, what is
Yeah, yeah, I'll exit. Yeah.
The final countdown.
All right, anything else on the warrant that anybody noticed,
don't
wants
think
to
y'all
move,
need
or anything
us.
like that? Does anybody else here besides Bill and I, Tom?
Unfortunately, I
Bill,
can't be there,
You're not gonna
so-
be there, so you can't move anything. Anyways, do either one of you two wanna throw your hat in the ring for a motion, or you just fine sitting and looking pretty?
Whatever y'all need from me.
Okay,
This feels like your moment to shine, and I don't want to take that away from you.
gotcha, gotcha.
give you
All right.
one
Since I
last
have a
moment.
whole 2 more
Yeah,
ahead of me.
all right, so I think we're good on everything there.
Cool.
Mr. Buller, anything else? Did we miss anything?
No, I think we're in good shape. Hope people will come and participate.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to be a problem
yeah.
this year.
I think people are gonna come.
I do have a question. I have
Is there a snow date?
Hush. I've had a couple of questions from Wenham residents asking about their attendance at Hamilton Town Meeting. I have said, perhaps erroneously, that you may come and watch.
They can come, they get a little kind of visitors
Just
pass
sit
thing,
in,
and they
yeah,
stand in
Bill
the back of
announced
the
where they can
gallery.
sit in the back.
And then people mentioned that during the stabilization fund that there were non-Hamilton residents who made public comment. And is that allowed? That there were Wenham residents making comment because the motion was relative to the regional school district decision?
Subject to the town moderator's approval.
Okay. Bless you.
If there were, well, basically, town meeting is for registered Hamilton voters. We do, of course, we have a special section for non-registered voters to sit in, and in the moderator's discretion, they can call upon some non-voters to speak, like the DPW director, or in the case of a building project, the architect. If there were Wenham residents who otherwise spoke last year, then I'd have to say that I dropped the ball, didn't see I guess I'll be more careful that if somebody comes up to speak, that if they don't have a clicker, then if you can't click, don't come, I guess, to the microphone. So that's it. I mean, I was asked by, some people if Wenham residents could speak, and because they're not Hamilton voters, I already determined that they can't. So it's basically Hamilton voters, period.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks for that, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
All right, anything else with the warrant or town meeting? All right. Up next, we have discuss the June 3rd
Third-party flags.
party flag raisings, Pride and Juneteenth. And we've done this in the past, were we 3-4 years into it now?
Yes, I think that's 4 years, yeah.
I think this is our 4th year. Anybody want to make a motion?
Are we just moving to discuss?
We're
What are we voting?
voting on raising the flags as we have in the past.
And how is that work? I mean, I wasn't here the
So
last 3
it's been, the pride flag gets raised at the beginning of June, on the first business day of June, and then the Juneteenth flag gets raised on the holiday this year because the holiday's in the middle of the week. So it would be, both times, initiate with like a little bit of a ceremony at about 4:35 PM at Patton Park, and that's where the flag would go up first. But,
Down at Patton Park, I
yeah,
think.
down at Patton Park, and then they don't stay up for more than, well, the pride flag stays up for the whole month, but then the other flag is only up for a week.
Got it.
Okay, so the motion is to raise the Pride and Juneteenth flags in accordance with
Past practice?
past practice. Is
Yeah,
that
I
what we're
like
saying?
that.
All
I
right.
like that.
I move that we vote to raise the Pride and Juneteenth flags in accordance with past practice, specifically in reference to 2023.
Second?
All right. Did you want to say anything?
Hi there. Anna Seitzig, 227 Highland Street. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak. The comment I wanted to make is that I would suggest an amendment to the motion to simply say annually. The reason I say that is I think that the act of having to do this on an annual basis actually detracts from the spirit of it. At this point, Juneteenth is a federal holiday, but it's been celebrated for more than a century. Pride has its origins in the Stonewall riots, but was recognized during the Clinton administration. So these are events that have lasted for quite some time. I don't see society going back on them anytime soon. Of course, any motion by any board can always be reversed. It can always be changed. You could always decide not to fly these flags in the future. But I actually would argue that the annual discussion onto itself is somewhat hurtful, that we have to come together to say, do we really want to fly the Juneteenth flag? Do we really want to fly the Pride flag? The fact that you've referenced past practice, I think, speaks to that. At this point, I would simply say the motion could be to fly those flags annually in the town of Hamilton, and then we wouldn't have to have an annual conversation to debate the relative merits of this, because I think if you're a member of one of those marginalized communities, if you are a Black American or a member of the queer community, to have a governing body say, do we really need to fly the flag again, into itself is somewhat hurtful. So I would just suggest that the motion becomes annual, and it's annual. You just do this every year, just like you have done, just like municipalities have been doing and continue to do. So, thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
All right, food for thought, discussion?
Yeah, I mean, interesting comment, and I wouldn't say I disagree with it. I just don't think we can do it based on all the discussions we've had. We'd have to sort of open up our,
The policy calls out
policy, yeah.
that you have to vote it annually, so.
so we'd have to do that, but I
Have to amend the
appreciate,
policy.
I appreciate the comment. I think there's some things that make sense about it, because we voted for a lot of things annually. That would be nice if we just voted it and it just became part of the practice
Mhm.
until another board decided to do something
Yeah.
differently. But no, I think it's a good point, but I don't know that we can do that today.
So could we circle the flag policy? I haven't seen it. And
Yeah.
just kind of use.
Don't we love that Bill is just now coming into our flag policy?
You missed a
just-
year and a
Well, I
half of
asked
meetings.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it like last March,
Yeah.
I think, a little
Yeah.
bit, right? And,
Flag policies.
yeah.
Take a look at the banner policy too.
Yeah, the banner
You better get
policy.
voted back on so that you can deal with that once and for all.
So, I mean, we've got a motion on the table. I think Anna's suggestion is definitely valid, and your point is valid too, that we can't really do it because of our policy currently. But I think it's worth, and then I'm off of this, but I think it's up to you guys to carry the torch. And we talked about it when we made that
Right.
policy, to revisit it from time to time when we
Right.
needed to. So this might be one of those times for a little kind of housekeeping on that, is my suggestion.
Yeah, let's revisit the policy. We may have it done before June, so.
Yeah, maybe, and then you can just revote it before you
Yep, we
actually
can add it
officially
in.
do it. So, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of flying those flags, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody. The ayes have it. Review proposed select board meeting schedule in July through December 2024. They look great to me.
Joe, are you?
You've been waiting all day to say that.
Been waiting all day.
Joe, is it possible for you to share it?
Yeah, I can't.
I apologize, I don't.
I mean, if you want to say, I'll share it too, I'm sure.
Let me put on my readers.
I can get the font really big.
Okay, hold on, I just gotta get my,
Monday, July.
In the
LSU's up by 5.
In the packet is page 32. July 1st and 15th, excuse me, August 5th and 19th, September 9th or Tuesday, September 3rd with asterisk, September 23rd or Monday, September 16th with asterisk, October 7th, October 21st, November 4th, November 18th, December 2nd, December 16th.
So normally your schedule is first and third, but because the first Monday in September is September 3rd, I offered you the other days, which what you've been doing lately. It's a 5-week month, so it's not a big deal to bump, but the second and fourth, you'll still have a kind of a standard time in between meetings. But if you want to stay on, the first and third weeks, then you could do the Tuesday after Labor Day, which would be the 3rd instead of the 2nd. Your choices.
Oh,
Or maybe not.
maybe our town clerk
Sorry,
has a
the
comment.
3rd is the state primary.
So it
Oh,
can't do-
so
so
it
it'd
won't
have to
be
be,
the
it'd have to be Wednesday, the 4th?
Yeah.
Or stay with the 9th and 23rd.
Thank you, Corinne.
Wait, sorry,
So the 3rd is out.
The 3rd is out. It could be Wednesday, the 4th, unless you wanted to just accept the 9th and 23rd.
I think the 9th is fine. I like to keep them on Mondays.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very busy.
I think it actually works out really well. The schedule actually works out compared to calendars, and I think it's
Is
actually,
it bumping into any of your holidays?
no, check that out. No, it's good.
I was just,
I was very much paying attention to those this year.
I know, it's good.
It stays away from my birthday, too. It's October 14th.
Close to mine.
Just October 14th, so I get my Monday off.
Make t-shirts out for your birthday this year.
yeah, they look good to me.
Yeah.
Do I?
I'll make a motion to
Yeah,
approve
I
it.
move to approve the July through December select board meeting dates as proposed.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Got it.
Yep.
All right. Next is update on proposed Chapter 40B project at 133 Essex Street and discussions with the applicant about the project.
Yeah, well, you can start. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to-
So, as many of you have heard through the grapevine, and we've discussed with everybody kind of in between the meetings, that we've got a proposed 40B project at 133 Essex. As we know, they've gone through the planning board process pre-40B, and they brought back a proposal to basically do a similar development there with 9 more units. Before it was 50, now it'll be 59. Joe and Tom and I met with them a couple weeks ago now, probably.
About 3 or 4 weeks ago.
And they're basically getting all their paperwork together, and we're talking about how the select board could help them through the process and possibly give them a letter of endorsement for the project. We talked about kind of, I don't want to say compensation is not the right word, but making it a more friendly 40B.
Mitigation.
Yep, some mitigation, and we discussed a handful of kind of different options with them in the meeting. They've come back with a couple different things, but along the same vein. But in my opinion, we're gonna have a project there regardless, and this seems like the best possible outcome. We get numbers on our SHI, and we get tax money, and the amount of acreage they're using there, they'll be maintaining the trails, adding a parking lot for the trails, a bunch of other different kind of compensations that they'll be doing for the mitigation part of it. So for me, it seems like a win, but I know there's a lot of people opposed to the development there, but looking at it fiscally and over the years, we're gonna be in court a long time fighting something that's gonna end up being there. And we can kind of get something out of it and get the same development that, in my mind, wasn't a terrible one to begin with, so. just
Yeah, I'm
my
in favor of
opinion.
negotiating beneficial items for the town. I just don't know how long it's gonna take to do, if we're doing that tonight or not, but
No, not doing it.
Not doing it
That's
tonight,
that would be,
Okay.
I think it would be beneficial.
future.
To understand how it could, because instead of fighting, it's always better to negotiate and get something that's a win for the
Right.
town, especially with the trails and the
Right.
funding for the trails and access to the trails and perpetuity to the trails and all that stuff, but
Mhm.
it'd be interesting to go through that process, so.
Can we like put together a grid kind of side by side with those comparisons between the two options, and then we can bring it back for future business? I don't know if somebody has that, or we,
We can pull
Yeah,
it
we can
together.
put something together.
Is there stuff we want to talk about in public about what some of those current concessions are? Or are we not at that point now to talk about that?
I think so where it was left was the applicants were going to file with the ZBA, which they have now done. They filed their package with the ZBA last Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And their attorney is supposed to be contacting Amy Questle from KP Law, who's representing the town on our behalf in this matter. Amy is also going to be conducting a 40B training with the ZBA. The ZBA, as currently constituted, has done some 40B projects, but none of the members that are currently on were chair at the time. And they've asked for a little bit of help, a little refresher. So Amy's going to be doing a public training with them. I believe that's April 3rd, 2 nights from now.
Yeah, and I would encourage, I've done a few of these 40B kind of training things over the years, and I would encourage anybody on this board, if you want to go, let Joe know just so we can post for it, but it's definitely worth going, because even though our board isn't really involved in the process besides possibly endorsing the project, it's really good to know, because you guys are going to be fielding a lot of questions about it. It's good to have that knowledge about what the process is and what the timeline is and what you can do and how you can get some skin in the game.
So the attorneys will talk as well, and Amy will draft on behalf of Town of Hamilton a letter of recommendation that would include the things that the town has asked for in consideration of your support. And that would be reviewed by you probably or possibly in executive session, as it's still kind of up in the air. And if that was approved, you could submit that letter, and as long as the proponents, the applicants, complied with the request or agreed with the request, then you would be in more or less what would be considered a 40B category, a friendly 40B situation, where that is also helpful to both sides, where it cuts down on the amount of time that it would take in appeals. 40Bs can still be appealed, even if they're friendly, even if the select board signs on. The abutters still have their rights to appeal the project, but friendly 40Bs definitely move through the system faster.
Right. And I will say, in talks with the developer, the project is, other than 9 more units, is very close to this proposed project from previously. And I'll mention a similar but different situation in Ipswich. They have a situation where they protested a project, and now the developer is doubling the size of the project because he's upset with the town, basically, and he can, because I couldn't tell you last time in my tenure that a 40B project the state has allowed it to be stopped.
As far as I know, there's only one project that was stopped, and it's very convoluted the way it got stopped. There was only one
Right.
project that was not supported by the state. The court basically has approved every 40B application that's gone before them. It's just how long does it take for them to get through the process? The applicant here in this case is proposing 9 additional units, but I think that it's got to be 25% of the units to be a 40B, so 25% of 59 is 15 units, I think, and they would be in perpetuity. So they will be for sale units, but they will be in perpetuity.
That was one of the things we talked about.
In the past, the for sale units usually have a life expectancy of
sunset.
30 years or 40 years, but he's not proposing that. He's proposing that they will always be 40B affordable housing units. And as was the case with his original proposal for the site, they'd be proposing to put the rest of the land where the trails are into conservation restrictions, so nothing else would ever get built there again.
So just so there's not misinformation out there, based on what we know, so there's 59 units, 25% would be affordable. It'd be for sale, not, all 59 would be for sale, not for rent.
Right.
Yeah.
And then local preference is just based on what, based on the state?
Yeah,
It's-
state,
it's
federal
tough.
government, it's very tough to get, I mean,
Even when developers say you get local preference, the state really doesn't let you get the local preference like you think you're gonna get. It's because of the way the lottery is and stuff like that. So we could say it, they can say it, but it usually doesn't happen
It's
in the way that
55
we
still
want it to.
55 and over?
55.
So 55 and over.
And how,
And the same developer?
Same
developer.
developer. 55 and older, the caveat, though, in order to qualify for 40B, they do allow for one child, or children under the age of 18 to be living in the house with the 55-year-old owner. So if an older parent who adopts or a grandparent has custody of their grandchildren, they would still be able to stay there.
Right, and I'll mention one other thing, that with the project, those 15 units won't be different from the other units. you know, the other units are gonna be $750 to $1 million homes. Those affordable units will be the same house, they'll just be affordable units.
But those are or are not age restricted? I thought you couldn't age restrict 40B. You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
But as long as children are allowed to be in it. You can't age restrict children out of the development. So they've been very clear up and upfront that children will be allowed to live in the affordable units as long as the owner, principal owner, is somebody at the age.
The owner occupier,
Right.
not an owner.
Right, not, we are subletting, right.
I don't know if we want to say more, but how does this dovetail with the active lawsuit?
So that's currently, both sides in that have agreed to pause the legislation, the legal case, rather, not legislation, but have both paused the legal proceedings. And if the town supports the
We've currently got a
40B,
stay that negotiate,
they'll,
basically.
they'll, and they get their permit from the ZBA, they'll drop the other case.
Okay, and then, this might be too in the weeds, but the core pushback from the planning board was, like, maximum build space in all areas. And so is it the same space in adding 9, or did everything get smaller and they just added more units?
It's very close to the same space, if I remember
Yeah.
right from the
Okay.
plans.
Very close to
They're
the-
not, they're not townhouses or duplexes now, they're ones and whatevers, but the footprint is pretty much the same.
Okay.
And help me, remind me again, if it's a rental, they all count, if it's sold, only 15 count? How's the numbers count?
Only the
Percentage of
if it-
rental.
Yeah, if they're owned, then the active affordable units are the
Only
ones that
15 count, right?
The 15 will
Right,
count.
if it's a rental, they would all count. But
Right.
because it's owned, it's only 15 count towards our numbers, okay.
But we can't negotiate that. The
No, I know, I just
developers-
wanted to understand the
And
developers
that's why with the
have-
Willows,
so.
Yeah.
that, all of them count, even though they're not all affordable.
Right.
So, any other questions on that?
So is there a timeline for this that we're trying to, future meetings?
I'm expecting that we'll get something from Amy by the end of this month. So you have another meeting on the 22nd, and then another meeting on May 6th. So you will probably see something in draft form from the attorney. It will probably already have been reviewed by the applicant. So you'll have what they're agreeing to right now, and then you can review it and discuss it. Like I said, I have to determine if we can do that in executive session or not, because we're negotiating. Or you may decide to have, like, it started out with Tom and Sean. Sean will be off the board, so you need to designate 2 people to go. Or the new chair could designate 2 people to go and carry the ball forward.
And they're not here to talk about anything today.
No.
No. If they had filed, we probably would have had them talk to us more, but.
They just wanted, we just wanted to bring the whole board up to speed. Sean's going off. He actually knows the most about this now, so trying to, bring you up to speed as much as possible.
Okay.
We can deputize you.
All right, anything else on that? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, and I would say if you can't attend that thing with the ZBA, the kind of, with Amy, she's gonna talk about timelines and stuff like that, and there's a lot of timelines involved in it, so. All right, any new business?
Aren't we coming up on review and goal-setting season?
Yep.
Yep.
Soon as,
No, you don't have to worry about it.
well, soon as,
The new folk.
the new folks join, then you're gonna, that first meeting, you pick all your officers, and then I like to set a goal session after that.
Okay. Didn't we try to get review feedback before the board switched over last year, though?
We did the last one so late, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, I would say button up a timeline on that, where you actually put it in the calendar, and it's an automatic thing.
Yeah, it speaks pretty loud now, huh?
yes, suddenly we need a schedule.
Gavel in the drawers?
When you're the chair next week, Charlie, you do whatever you want.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
But yeah, that's it. I'd suggest a retreat, maybe at the boathouse or somewhere like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing else.
Any other new business, anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Second. All right, all those in favor?
My future, and John, you wanted to say anything on you?
No, thank you, everybody. And if, little words.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. One more. Thank you.
Yeah, you do have town meeting.
Just got to make it through town meeting.